The dynamic duo is back. Episode 47 of the Gold and Blue Breakdown Show here at Couz's Corner. Brought to you by our fine partners over at Appalachia Digital, the creators of the WV, or the designers rather, of the WV Sports Chat website. What is up? We're going to preview the upcoming UCF game here on episode 47 of the Gold and Blue Breakdown Show. And my partner in crime, Jonathan, is back with me again this week. What's up?
Yep, can't get rid of me. What's it been?
A month.
It's been a month, yeah. So
I was off a week, and you were off 3 weeks. So
yeah, I don't know how that. When you're not the main guy, it's not Jonathan's corner. So
it could
I'm
be.
not as obligated as you
It
are.
could be
so
for the right amount of cash.
It could be. So when you're not as obligated as you are, you take. Yeah, no, hey, it's been good. We've talked about this a lot, because between some vacations and time with families, and we've got a lot going on outside
Right.
of. We're not always on social media and websites and YouTube, and so sometimes it's good to take a break. And but man, it is. It's not quite the season for West Virginia football we had hoped, but it's good to be back talking about it.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And thank you for rejoining the show, I should say.
Yep.
And not enjoying your vacation so much that you decided, I don't need that. I don't need to go on a show with that bald-headed turd.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
First thing we're going to talk about tonight is, and we record this show on Wednesday night, but we're going to talk about a topic that's been somewhat, I don't want to say it's been a super popular topic, but it has been brought up on social media, and that is Nicco Marchiol. Apparently, he is back with the team, according to Coach Rod, after seeing specialists about his foot. So I want to ask you, Jonathan, I want to get your opinion on this. Do you expect Nicco Marchiol to be back with the West Virginia football team in 2026?
That's probably the toughest question you'll ask me all night. And I'll tell you why I say that. One, Nicco, I'm trying to think where to start. Nicco has been, for lack of a better term, he's been a Mountaineer from the very beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has had unlimited opportunities to leave this program. And through, whether it be not getting a start over Garrett Green, or coming in and winning some football games that he did fill in, but then losing his job once Garrett came back, or whether it was the coaching transition, or quite honestly, whatever has been thrown his way, he's remained loyal to this program and this state. So on one hand, I want to say, yeah, I think he'll be back. Why wouldn't he? I mean, the track record shows that he's going to stick it out. On the other hand, Couz, I'm not sure he's exactly what Rich Rodriguez is looking for. Look, a couple things aside here. Number one, I think we can appreciate him staying. I think when you look up hard edge in the dictionary, there could very easily be a picture of Nicco Marchiol there. Mm-hmm. And he will forever go down as a Mountaineer great for what he did against Pitt at home, because that's just what happens.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
At the same time, I think a couple things can be true at the same time. And the second part of that is, I just don't know that he is tailor-made for Rich Rodriguez's offense. Maybe with a little bit more established offensive line, potentially, but I just don't know that he quite gives you that athletic, mobile ability that he's looking for. And so on one hand, yeah, I do think he'll be back, because that's just what Nicco does, right? He's remained loyal to the program. On the other hand, I just don't know that he's quite the fit for Rich Rodriguez going forward. And I guess the final point on that kind of piggybacks off of that is that, am I crazy to say that next year's, especially after this year, it's make or break, right? I mean, West Virginia is sitting in a not so great place right now, and who knows what the future holds this season. But I don't think we're going to argue much that it just doesn't look great, right? And so now Rich Rodriguez is in the line of fire next year, because it appears West Virginia is going to spend some money. You can't have another unsuccessful season, losing season. and you better put all your cards on deck to have a solid next year. And I'm concerned that if that's what has to happen, and it is what has to happen, it doesn't make sense to me to go into next year knowing all that and running Nicco Marchiol out there as your starting quarterback, because I just don't think in a lot of ways, I think it was the old square peg round hole, right? And it's kind of my thoughts. I mean, I guess that's a long-winded version to tell you I don't know, but I just think there's so much that goes into that I'm not sure he is fit for what Rich Rodriguez wants to do in Morgantown.
Fair assessment. I'm going to say my gut tells me that Nicco and West Virginia at the end of this year will decide to make a clean break. Now, I do think, he's back with the team. He can finish out the season on the team with his teammates, supporting them, helping them out, whatever. Enter the portal when the season's over and the portal window opens. And if he does that and does things the right way, I think Mountaineer Nation, for the most part, will still love the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll interject to say that it does not. I know it doesn't. I know we agree on this. It doesn't surprise me one bit that he's back with the team. That doesn't surprise me. Look, he went away to get a specialist to take a look at his injury. By all accounts that you and I have heard and has been reported, that was legitimate. There was some concerns there. So I some of those things that people that say he wasn't really hurt, I don't buy that. I really do believe there was an injury there. And especially, but it doesn't surprise me he's back with the team, because again, that's what he does, right? He's going to support this team and this program, and and I think at the end of the day, I think him and Rich Rodriguez, you go look at those videos after the Pitt win, the embraces, the hugs, the tears, because that wasn't fake, and that wasn't because they just beat Pitt. I mean, that was part of it, but I actually think that was genuine.
I do too.
I think the two, if you go all the way back to last year when Rich was named coach, even kind of that bowl game, I think it's genuine between the two. I think there's a lot of similarities there. That's why I said Nicco's hard edge, man, because he stuck it out when times were not very good, and he had every opportunity in today's landscape to leave. So,
and he's played hurt. I mean, I think he's hurt. From what we've heard, he was hurt during the Kansas game and played through it. Didn't have a good day, but I mean, now I'm sure that played a part in it.
Yeah. And so when I talk about Nicco not necessarily being fit for Rich Rodriguez, I will say to his benefit, I think that injury probably plays part of that. But I just don't think that he is the most. We're going to talk about him a little bit, but somebody passing aside, somebody like Khalil Wilkins, that's somebody, Scotty Fox, they've got that mobility and a little bit more of that athleticism versus that just ground and pound and trying to run you over type. And then what's going to happen the remainder of this season? There's going to be a decision to make. Either it's Scotty Fox or Khalil Wilkins. And again, we're going to talk about that as we preview UCF. Or West Virginia's going to go out in the portal and spend a whole heck of a lot of money to get that position right. Because I can tell you one thing, for West Virginia to be successful on the offensive side of the ball, it's going to start at the quarterback position with what Rich Rodriguez wants to run. Yeah. Now, obviously, you've got to be good up front. There's been issues there. Those are well documented. But I gave you reasons why I don't think he will and reasons why I think he will. But if I just had to make a call, I just don't think he'll be back. I completely agree with you. I think he's with the team. He's going to cheer the team on for whatever remainder of this season goes. And there will be a clean breakup. And I think it will be well. And,
and I also think for team morale, it's important to have him around, because from everything I've heard, read about Nicco, the team loves him. He's a leader, and they respect him. And I can't help but think that maybe his absence the last two games may have impacted the team's psyche. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so I think having him around will help their psyche, if nothing else.
Yeah. And the team will have more.
And I think he loves the team and loves the guys on the team. So
and the team will have more insight to a player who's playing hurt. And if those guys are seeing him go out and play hurt, and they may not call him out, but they see a player playing hurt. They see a player playing hurt behind an offensive line that's struggling. Yet he continues to go out there and fight and give it all he has until he just couldn't anymore. It's not surprising one bit that he's got the respect of that team. So I think there's some validity there to what you're saying. But as a lot of people in my family always tell me, I'm the king of saying at the end of the day. I just don't quite know that it's the right fit for what Rich wants to do in Morgantown. So going forward, whether it's Wilkins, Fox, or they just spend a bunch of money in the portal, I think there will be somebody else under center leading leading the Mountaineers next year.
Yep, I agree, 100%, 100%. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. Crack the old knuckles. Let's get ready, baby.
I've got to get used to this. Now it's one thing just to talk, but now we start getting into some keys to the game and stuff. I've missed it, Couz. I've missed it.
Get you a drink of Coke.
Coke Zero, which
okay.
speaking of my family, they tell me it's worse than the regular stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's year zero, crack a zero.
yeah. There you go.
Sorry, Paul. Yeah. I couldn't help myself.
yeah. And to tell you about where we're at this point of the season, it's less than half when I pretty much started. So we're running on fumes here all around.
And my drink's empty as well. My cup is more than half empty.
Yeah. You tell me the team's struggling without telling me the team's struggling. You've got an empty Taco Bell, and I can't even get a half filled leftover bottle of Coke Zero. So
I hear you.
Here we are. We start chewing our thumbnails, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, really. By the way, that's my understanding. I was going to say we could maybe get us a sponsor, but I just threw up a PepsiCo owned company, and you with a Coke company, so I'm not sure that's going to work.
Yeah, we're in trouble. Although I will say before we get going, I am, if those of you know me personally, I'm on a mission to find the best zero drink out there. So I've always been a Coke Zero person. Well, I switched to Dr. Pepper Zero.
Pretty good.
Speaking of Mountain Dew, if you've not tried a Mountain Dew Zero, I would strongly suggest it. Get it in a can. Get it ice cold in your fridge, and enjoy it. You won't regret it. That's my tip of the day.
It is really good. I've had it myself. I can't drink Mountain Dew anymore because of what it does to me, but it is good. It is tasty. And I also like Mellow Yellow Zero too, by the way.
I've not had that one.
That's a good one. All right.
I've not had that
one. 3 keys to the game. You ready?
I'm ready.
What's key number 1?
Key number 1, make sure you have TNT, True TV, or HBO Max. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Who would have thought we'd be watching?
That's actually not wrong.
Who would have thought we would be watching football on TNT and HBO Max? Anyway, all seriousness, for me, this was pretty easy when I just thought about the totality of this team, and it's make sure you made good use of the bye week, because there's an old argument about whether a bye week came at a good time or a bad time. If you were winners of 3 or 4 in a row, you'd never want to see a bye week come. If you've got no injuries, you don't want to see it coming. I think it came at a perfect time for West Virginia, losers of 3 in a row. There's some injuries, some health issues. We just talked about Nicco, some offensive linemen, some defensive linemen, some wide receivers. They're pretty banged up. And so for me, I want to see West Virginia come out after a bye week, maybe a little rejuvenated, a little energized, look a little more fresh. I felt like they were kind of limping to this last week, literally and figuratively. And so just make good use of the bye. Come out with some energy, come out with some passion, and make it look like you were able to regroup. Maybe you got a little extra work. Maybe it was a good week for somebody like Wilkins and Scotty Fox to get some more reps, get familiar with some other receivers that haven't got as much time, but with some departures now, maybe they might get some playing time. So make really good use of your bye week and let it count as you get back into action, because you're getting a UCF team, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but you're getting a UCF team that's reeling just a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so you're not walking into, at Ames, Iowa, right? Yeah. I mean, and so this is a good opportunity to make a really good use of the bye week. And so they need to capitalize on that.
Yeah. It's and I did a show with someone who covers UCF, which is up on the channel now if you want to go check it out after you watch this one. my Know Your Opponent episode that I do every week, and he was, he brought up a good point, and then I even heard Brad House say basically the same thing on the Three Guy Show. It's like West Virginia and UCF are looking in the mirror at each other. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so many similarities between these. I think Hoppy used the word like doppelganger. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Adam from Sons of UCF, who I talked to, he used, he compared it to the Spider-Man meme with the two Spider-Men pointing at each other. It's kind of like that, right? Both are reeling, both are 0-3 in the league play, both are returning old coaches, both hit the transfer portal heavy and have over 70
Yeah.
guys, new players. I mean, so many similarities. Both are struggling to run the foot. Both are struggling on offense. Both are having offensive line issues. I mean, just uh, so many similarities. But I like. I thought I'll bring that up. But I like your key there. I think it's very important. What did they do during that bye week? Any guys they had that might have been playing banged up or sore or whatever, they're healed up now. Not going
Mm-hmm.
to get the guys back we thought, like Ty Edwards, for example. He's not going to be back this week. It doesn't appear. But maybe some guys who might have been just banged up and not hurt were able to get back and healthy. Um, my first key is success on first down,
Mm-hmm.
because West Virginia has not been good on third down this year, but a big reason for that is because they're struggling on first and second down. We're seeing so many 3 and outs. It's put a lot of pressure on the defense. And then when you look at UCF, they are fifth in the Big 12 right now in time of possession, are holding the ball an average of 31 minutes 10 seconds a game. The reason they're slow, methodical offense, which is not what Scott Frost used to do, but he's changed some since he left. He's now running a
Yeah.
more slower pace, more methodical offense, holding the ball longer. And if West Virginia cannot get anything going in this game and can't have success on first down to keep drives going, to get the tempo going and put pressure on that UCF defense, and then they continue to have these 3 and outs like they've been doing, UCF will keep the ball. They might have the ball 40 minutes in this game.
Yeah.
And that's just not, you don't want that. And then you've got UCF. I mentioned wearing out the UCF defense. With the new team, how much depth do they have? Can you wear down that defensive line by going high tempo all game? In order to do that, you've got to have success, right?
Yep.
And it all starts on first down. UCF is only giving up 30.4% of opponent third downs. So they're doing they have a really good third down defense. How do you overcome that? You have a lot of third and shorts, right?
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in third and long situations. And then West Virginia is last in the league on third down offense. But again, back to what I said in the beginning, that's mainly because they've struggled on first and second down. So if you can get off to a fast start in the down, get good yardage on your first carry, first play, get your tempo going,
Mm-hmm.
get the defense on their heels, and try to have success that way. That's my first key.
Yeah. Completely agree. And here's what's even crazier, because I can take a month off, and we always tend to have something together. Never fails. So I'm not
Is that
going to
your
go.
second one?
So it actually wasn't my second one, but I will touch base on that. So I won't go into too much
Okay.
detail. But you're 100% right. At some point, the offense and the defense, they have to coexist a little bit, and so you
Yep.
just can't go out there and just you can't go 3 and out. So that's what I'll say. But yeah, so I don't want to get into a lot of that, because it's just funny how we take a little bit of time off, and we do not, as everybody that watches knows, we don't go over these notes together, but somehow they always intertwine together. That's funny. But no, my second point was West Virginia. Your second key was West Virginia has to have a resemblance of quarterback play, right? Like Nico's not there. By all accounts, Khalil Wilkins or Scotty Fox have been handed the keys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you. We've actually not had the opportunity to discuss it, but I thought both quarterbacks did some nice things at BYU. I thought both quarterbacks did some. That wasn't great. I felt like actually Khalil Wilkins got better as the game went on.
Agreed. Got more
And
comfortable.
he absolutely got more comfortable. I thought the interception early was just nervousness. Listen, when you tend to stare down a receiver like he did, that's nervousness, right? That's just not been comfortable. It's been a little antsy. And so if there's anything really encouraging, one of that is I felt like as the game went on, and there were a couple touchdowns that were dropped and a couple, but I thought he looked really good running the football. Boy, it was nice to see somebody. I mean, I'm not going to go to the Pat White comparisons, but there were a couple times when he was in the open field running the football, and you kind of thought,
Yeah.
that looks good.
Flashbacks. Yeah.
That looks good. And especially on his touchdown run, it was like he knew he had the guy beat on the outside, and he almost just kind of was like, you're not going to get me. That was just really nice to see. But they've got to get better. And that kind of goes back to what I said on the first key is that you had to make good use. And so how much better were Wilkins and Fox able to get? And also the 2B, I guess I would say on that is how does Rich Rod use them together? I think that oftentimes playing two quarterbacks is difficult anyway. But I'm interested to see how the two young guys handle that because I do think they're both going to play. Although I expect Wilkins to start. So, that for me is one is you've got to have smart, sound, decisive quarterback play from two really young and inexperienced quarterbacks for sure.
Yeah, that actually kind of segues into my second one. Is make plays in the passing game. I think, with the struggles the offensive line's been having, they are pass blocking better than the run blocking. UCF, has done pretty good at stopping the run for the most part. They're likely going to stack the box and make West Virginia beat them in the pass game because they know West Virginia wants to run the football. West Virginia, to me, is going to have to make some plays in the pass game to win the game.
Yeah.
With Cam Vaughn and Jeff Weimer and Preston Fox, some of these other guys, Rodney Gallagher.
Yeah.
And I think they can do that. UCF, if you look at their PFF grades, again, I know it's not the gospel, but it's kind of a litmus test or at least a good idea of how a team's doing. Their coverage grades are good, but they don't seem to get a ton of pressure on the quarterbacks. Now, they do have some talent up front on the defensive line. They've got some speed. They got some guys on the edge who are athletic, but they only have 8 sacks on the year so far. And they only have, I think I saw on PFF, they only have 72 pressures. West Virginia's got over 100 already. So I think he will have some time, whoever the quarterback is or both. I think they might have some time in the pocket to throw the football. Can the receivers get open?
No.
And can they make the plays when they do get open? That's going to be the key. And, the speed they do have on that defensive front, can West Virginia's O-line handle it so that they can make – because I think in order for this running game to ever get anything, have any success, they have got to start throwing the ball more. And, we saw in the second half they did it a little more. We saw, you mentioned how Khalil got more comfortable. Majority of those passes were down the field passes.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it, man. I think you got to make plays in the pass game to open up the run game and then have some success. And I think that'll help you out. I think that helps your offensive line too, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And the offensive line struggles are well documented, but you'd be surprised at how much better an offensive line looks when you've got a quarterback back there that's pretty mobile and can get out of the pocket relatively easy or make correct decisions about sliding up or outside of the pocket. And so that's kind of a get well fix pretty quickly, actually. So, just extremely excited to see how Wilkins and Fox adjust to this week after being able to you could argue essentially been thrown into the fire in BYU at night against the veteran defense. And then a bye week to kind of collect yourself a little bit. Going into a game that by all accounts it appears West Virginia can win and or be competitive. Again, you're not going to Ames, Iowa. So, I think this is an opportunity for them to feel comfortable. But I agree with you completely.
All right, what's key number 3 for you?
Yeah, so the third one for me is just sustained drives. That's kind of what we talked about earlier, and I said that you had some similarities with your point that I'd have with mine. Is that West Virginia, and you talk more about first down and things like that, and I completely agree. You can't get behind the chains, and you can't go 3 and out. West Virginia this year, there's been several struggles on offense, right? But one of them is they go so quickly. and those 3 and outs end up biting you in the butt. And it was actually earlier in the year, if you'll remember, one of my matchups to watch was Rich Rodriguez, the play caller, versus Rich Rodriguez, the head coach. Because at what point do you say, "Hey, I want to slow down just a bit"? And I, because I still kind of feel this way a little bit. I think and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later, but part of me believes that the defense is struggling just sheer lack of fatigue been on the field.
I think that's
And
part of it too. Yeah.
and this offense at some point has to help out. So I'll keep that point short because we've discussed it pretty well, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth later. But yeah, moving the football and sustaining drives is
Yeah.
extremely key. And I'll also throw in part of that is going all the way back to the very beginning. And I hate going back to the key to the game about the bye week, but I'll be curious the offensive packages and how Rich Rod is going to tailor his play calling, um, and how he's going to adjust to trying to get more sustained drives. And if he switches up any of those plays a little bit, but no doubt you and I are in agreement that whether it's your second, my third, whatever, one huge key to this game is a West Virginia
Hmm.
offense has to stay on the field
Yep.
this week.
Yep. Yep. Agree. All right, my third one is I wanted to talk about the defense a little bit because they've had not a couple not they've had a couple weeks of not so great play either, and that is, and I don't know, I think I just totally screwed that up, but anyway, I think everybody understands what I'm saying. They haven't played great the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Anyway, uh, been a long week, man.
Yeah.
Uh, pass coverage, man. They've got to get better in pass coverage. And listen, UCF's not going to be the greatest passing team they play.
Right.
They don't. They've had some quarterback. They've had a lot of injury at quarterback as well. Been shuffling guys in and out. Again, another similarity between these two teams. They played 3 quarterbacks already this year. It's likely going to be either Taven Jackson or Cam Fancher, or one of
Yep.
those 2 guys will likely get the start, depending on health. And Frost doesn't really want to share who's playing, kind of like Rodriguez. But they do like to take shots down the field when they do pass it, especially Taven Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Their receivers, when you look at their yards per catch, Dwayne Thomas Jr., 10.5. Marcus Burke, 15.1. Dylan Wade, 10.3. Miles Montgomery, who's their running back, 11.7. DJ Black, 16 yards per catch. So when you go down that list, a lot of big numbers there.
Yeah.
And then when you dive a little deeper into their quarterback play and look at the passing part of it, tells you even more, especially with Taven Jackson. 7.3 yards per attempt compared to 4.6 for Cam Fancher. So if Taven Jackson's the guy, they're going to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And with Fancher, they will take shots with Fancher too, but he's more of a short pass guy, and he's a guy who's more likely to tuck it and run with it, right?
Yep.
But Taven Jackson will throw the football down the field if he's the guy. And you've got to be ready to cover if you're, Michael Coates, Jason Chambers, Scruggs, Perry, Darian Lewis. The whole secondary has to be ready
Yeah.
because they will throw the football down the field. They might not do it a ton,
Yeah.
but they will take shots. It wouldn't surprise me if they open the game up with a shot, just like BYU did, to test that secondary. So pass coverage is going to be key in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Completely agree. And this is going to be another opportunity for the West Virginia defense because if they are on the field long term, they're going to be tested, whether it be mobility, whether it be running the football, whether it be those deep passes or short passes. They're going to have to literally prepare for everything, right? So, yeah, it's going to be a good test for the defense, and hopefully and I'm sure they've done a lot of film. It's a little bit tougher because you don't necessarily know who you're preparing for, right? And as you noted, both guys are different. So, yeah, absolutely. Secondary is going to be extremely key for West Virginia this week.
And I didn't really touch on this, but if it's Fancher and he does more short stuff, secondary's got to be ready to come up and make tackles, and they've got to
Yeah,
tackle better. I didn't have that down, but they've got to tackle better as a defense
yeah,
too than what they did. The BYU, it wasn't as big of an issue, but it
yeah,
was definitely an issue the games before that.
yeah, absolutely.
Before we get into our 2 position battles to watch, I have to take a quick commercial break. So stick around. We will be right back. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code COUZ. That's code COUZ to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. All right. Thank you for being patient. Let me just get through the housekeeping and pay the bills. All right. Let's go ahead and jump over to the second segment, which is two position battles. So, Jonathan, what's your first one?
Yeah, for me, so we kind of just talked about it a little bit in terms of the quarterback play, but the first one for me is the West Virginia defense versus a mobile quarterback. Again, it's a little bit different because we don't quite know who UCF is going to run out there, but Cam Fancher was the one that was out last week versus Cincinnati, and so if we are led to believe that he gets the nod again, you've got to be prepared, much like going back to the Ohio game, against an athletic quarterback who's going to get out of the pocket. Couz early, I know it was more snaps, obviously, last week, but in 3 games this year, Fancher threw 9 passes, 14 passes, 49 passes. And last week, in addition to throwing almost 50 times, because he ran the ball 20 times. For 108 yards. And so West Virginia, kind of to your point last segment, West Virginia is going to have to prepare themselves for not just a quarterback that's going to sit back, but a quarterback that can get outside of that pocket, right? And so whether it be that secondary that has to come up, linebackers or somebody like a Jamori Robinson even this game that can get out on that edge, if it is Fancher, and again, it's difficult to prepare because you just don't quite know who it's going to be, but there's similarities between both of them. But if it is Fancher specifically, especially last week, if you're like me, you usually have nightmares when it comes to West Virginia playing a mobile athletic quarterback. Mm-hmm. And so you really got to pay attention if Fancher is the quarterback for UCF this week because he does like to run. 20 carries for 100 yards, 108 yards actually. So he's not afraid to tuck it and go, and it's something West Virginia has to be prepared for.
Yep. I like it. I like it. Mine, I think almost every show this year I have mentioned the West Virginia's O-line. We've talked about the O-line ad nauseum, so I decided this week I'm not including it. And as Jonathan, as you know, as we get through the season, man, you start repeating yourself a lot on some of these shows. Yeah. I'm trying not to do that if I can help it, but the position battle I've got is I've actually got special teams versus special teams. Field position battle primarily is what I'm talking about here. When you look at number one, West Virginia needs to kick the ball into the end zone. Number 2, UCF is number 13 in the Big 12 in overall punting. They haven't punted the ball all that great. And they're even worse than that. They're 15th in the league when it comes to yards per punt at 40.4. So there might be some opportunities there for West Virginia to get decent. If West Virginia's defense can pin UCF back and force 3 and outs deep in their own territory, West Virginia, they're likely not going to kick their way out of it, is what that tells me, right? Mm-hmm. So West Virginia has a chance to get the ball in good field position. And conversely, Oliver Straw has punted the ball a ton. First off, and he look, has his punting been elite? No, but it's quite a bit better than what UCF's punter is. I forgot to write down his numbers, but still, I think it's a key here to West Virginia can take advantage of is UCF is not the greatest out there in punting the football. So maybe that will open up some opportunities. And again, kickoffs, kickoff coverage, all of that. We saw what happened in the Kansas game with the kickoff return touchdown. West Virginia's had a few games where they've struggled in kick coverages and things like that. So, and again, kickoffs, they're not getting the ball into the end zone. So those are areas I think that in a game like this, when you've got two
Yeah.
teams who are struggling, two
Yeah.
teams who are so similar to each other,
Yeah.
it's likely going to be a dogfight, low scoring affair. Special teams could make the difference in this game.
Yeah, 1,000% agree. I did not put that down, but I couldn't agree more. Because when you have two teams that are essentially the same, that are both struggling, these are the little things. Whether it be a kick out of bounds, a kick in the end zone, whether it be giving up a return here or a missed field goal there, whatever it may be, those are the little things that determine which team snaps a 3-game losing streak. And when, especially for West Virginia, when you're a little inexperienced at quarterback and you're depleted at receiver and the offensive line is struggling and your defense is tired, these are the things that kick in that could be the difference, right? And so, absolutely agree with you. I think it's something to definitely keep an eye on. Weather appears to be pretty good, nice and warm and outside, and so shouldn't have a whole lot of excuses. So definitely excited to see the battle of special teams, because here we are talking about two struggling teams, and that actually could be the difference in who decides to win a football game this weekend.
All right, so what's your second position battle to watch?
Yeah, so how about the West Virginia offense versus the West Virginia defense? And we kind of, I said early in the year we were going to get a little creative with this, in terms of that, because as the season goes, you do get a little redundant. You kind of repeat yourself a little bit. But we talked earlier, and this was my line of thinking with it. The defense is getting tired, right? I don't think that this defense is something's happened from maybe week 1 and 2. And even really week 3, I guess, as it's went on. And I think it's just kind of happens to coexist with the offensive struggles. And I think the defense is a little worn out, which is why I'm glad to see that bye week last week, even though there are some injuries there. But the West Virginia offense has to give a little bit of time. They have to stay on the field, because if you continue to go 3 and out, or you just don't move the ball but about 15 yards and then you punt right back, as quickly as West Virginia goes, all that's doing is just wearing this defense down. And now it's a defense that's beginning to get a little depleted with some injuries. And so West Virginia has to be able to move the football. And if they can help each other, I think West Virginia can pull it off this weekend, but the offense has to help the defensive out. And I'm not trying to give the defensive a pass. There has been their struggles; those are documented. But I think you have to help them out by staying on the field a little bit longer.
Yeah, I like it. That's definitely creative, for sure. My second position battle is, and well, back to your point though. Before I do that, it's complementary football. It's all about
Yeah,
complementary football, right?
yeah,
And that even goes into special teams too. All 3 phases need to play at
sure,
least average football.
yeah,
Hopefully, one will play great, maybe 2 play great, and the other play at least average, and they can win a football game. All right.
mm-hmm.
Um, I flipped the script. Instead of WVU O line, I'm going the WVU D line against the UCF O line. Here's why I put that. When you look at Taven Jackson throwing, assuming if he's, and I'll talk about Fancher in a minute, but Jackson, if he's the quarterback, when he throws the football, he has been sacked 29% of the times he gets pressured, he goes down, he gets sacked. Okay, it's pretty high. He also only completes 45% of his passes when under pressure. Now, all quarterbacks are going to have a lower number under pressure, but his is quite a bit more drastic than you normally see.
Mm-hmm.
And he also, and when you look at Fancher, he's only completing 50% of his passes under pressure. And he also doesn't throw well when he's blitzed. Now like you mentioned earlier, he's a lot more likely to tuck the ball and scramble with it,
Right.
so he can hurt you with his legs. And Jackson can do that too, by the way. But Fancher's a lot more likely to do it than Jackson. But Fancher can scramble, but I think he's more likely to look at his first read. It ain't there. He might tuck it and run. Right. I think that's more his tendency. Or he'll try to get out, quick to a short screen pass or a bubble screen or his back out of the backfield, something like that. And if you get pressure on him, he's even more likely to do that, in my opinion. And he's not going to take those shots down the field, like I mentioned earlier, if you put enough pressure on him, or you'll force him into a bad throw if he does throw it down the field. So I think the West Virginia D line, they've not, again, they went 2 weeks in a row without a sack.
Yeah.
Just have not been getting pressure on the quarterback like they did for the first few games of the season, whether they were tired, whatever. I want to see Jamoy Robinson step up this week and play up to his potential. We've seen some good things out of Siders. We've seen some good things out of Curtis Jones. I'd love to see those guys step up. Vesta Rennan, Eddie Kelly,
Yeah.
Hammond Russell, all those guys. I'd love to see them all step up and get pressure on the UCF quarterback.
Yeah.
And don't forget the run game too. Miles Montgomery's a great running back.
Sure.
They're going to be key in shutting him down as well.
Yeah. It's funny, as you were talking, I was literally just writing down just some guys that really need to step up. And I wrote Eddie Kelly, Eddie V, Siders, Jamori. I mean, these were guys, as you were talking, these were guys that were coming to my mind. And to go 2 games without a sack, again, this is an opportunity for West Virginia to feel a little bit more comfortable about going to UCF and play. And I think West Virginia knows that UCF is struggling a little bit. So I'd like to see, I said earlier, I'd be curious to see how Rich Rodriguez kind of took that bye week and how he kind of redirects this offense. But the same could probably be said too for Zach Alley, right? Like, he's had a week now. And so what's he going to do schematically and system wise to maybe put these guys in a little bit better position to be successful? And so that's something we'll definitely keep an eye on, because to your point, if you can get some penetration and you can get these guys under some pressure, good things will happen. And I know it's easy to say, hey, but that's about always, right? But more so to your point with those stats, good things happen when you put pressure on quarterbacks. And so West Virginia has to find a way to get some pressure, whether it be blitzing from the out, whatever it is that Zach Alley needed to do during an open week. Hopefully he was busy drawing something up, because as your point noted, you're going to have some success against UCF if you can put some pressure on the quarterback for sure.
Yeah, and I mentioned special teams earlier. I talked about punting. None of that's going to matter if the defense doesn't force them to punt.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They haven't done that in 2 weeks either.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zach Alley was quick to bring that up in the presser. They asked him about the turnovers. He's like, "Well, it didn't really matter because we couldn't even force them to punt." So
Yeah.
if you can't even force the other team to punt, those turnovers don't go quite as far.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah. So anyway, all right. Let's go ahead and next segment we're going to get to is our one key player to watch. Before we do, though, I want to remind everybody to go check out Appalachia Digital. If you need a new website, if you want to upgrade your current website, if you want to get found easier on Google, the fine folks at Appalachia Digital can help you do that. They are the ones who designed our website, WV Sports Chat. You see the logo for that in the background right here behind me. Go to WVSportsChat.com. Check out the written content over there about the Mountaineers. Appalachia Digital designed that site. They did a good job. They can do the same for you. Check them out today at AppalachiaDigital.com/Couz and let them know I sent you. All right, let's go ahead and do our key player, Jonathan. Who you got?
Couz, I tell you what, this was actually a pretty this was a tough one. I went back and forth on I wanted to say somebody on the offensive side of the ball, but then I thought, maybe it's the defensive side of the ball. Couz actually ended up going with Khalil Wilkins. And because I actually think that, because I said early in the show, I thought he progressed as the game went on at BYU. I thought he got better. I felt like early in his first career start, I mean, as you can imagine, I felt like he was nervous. I felt like everything was just kind of caving in on him. But as the game went on, I thought he learned. I thought he made better decisions. I thought he ran the ball when he should have ran the ball. I felt like he actually held on when he maybe instead of forcing a throw. I thought he was pretty good. And then when Scotty Fox came in, I thought he handled that well. I know it's really easy to look at his stats against BYU and say, man, how can you have him as it? Because I felt like he got better, right? And I felt like if you can take a little bit of progression on the road against BYU in a first career start, and you can give him Rich Rodriguez in an open week to get better, to rep, to install some game plans, I think Rich will suit his need here with his play calling with him, especially early to make him a little bit more comfortable. Call me crazy, but I think Khalil Wilkins will actually have a really good game this week at UCF. So to me, it could be obvious, but I think he steps up and has a really good game.
I like it. I like it. I stayed on the offensive side of the ball just like you, and I went with Dior Hubbard, assuming he's going to be,
Okay.
with Jaheim White out, Ty Edwards out. He's played okay. He probably like to have some runs back from last week, really from the last 2 weeks. But I thought against Utah he actually played a pretty good game, considering what
Yeah.
he, what everyone around him was doing. Last week I felt like he left some plays out there. I felt like there were a couple times he really didn't hit the hole we could have hit, when he had one. Thought maybe he could have ran a little harder a couple times, and not due to lack of effort, but just due to lack of maybe not trusting his eyes, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I think in order for West Virginia to succeed, they have got to have success in the running game,
Absolutely.
and you cannot have your quarterback running the ball 23 times like they did against BYU.
Nope.
So, yes, I know the offensive line has to block, and that's what everybody's going to go to. I get that. That's we know that. But the running back also has to do their part. When they do get a crease, they got to hit it. They also have to help them out by breaking some tackles, you know? So I think if Dior Hubbard can have himself a breakout game against UCF and get up to that 90-ish, 90 to 100 yards on the ground, you don't have to have 150 yards. If he can get up 90 to 100 yards, plus throw in the run game by the quarterback, if the quarterback can get you 50, 60, 70 yards, plus make a few plays in the pass game,
Yeah.
I think that's what you want to see out of this offense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Dior Hubbard as my guy.
Yeah, I like it. I like it because you talked earlier about complementary football. It's extremely possible that Khalil Wilkins and Dior Hubbard can play complementary running the
Yep.
football.
Yep.
And that's the whole point of the RPO, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I know one's a pass option, but if the defense has to make a decision between whether Khalil Wilkins is keeping and to revert all the way back to Nicco, I mean, that was an issue, right, with Nicco is that the defense never really feared whether Nicco was handing the ball off or whether he was going to keep it because there was really no fear of Nicco taking off and running. And you don't have that. I mean, you've got to be concerned about Khalil Wilkins. And goodness, I agree. You can't have him running the football 50 times. I mean, you're going to get him killed. So you can't do that. But I think they can play complementary running the football together. And so Dior was somebody that I'm actually listed. It appears that Sincere Bowers is going to be back, so if he needs spelled
Yep.
for a little bit. But to your point, I thought Hubbard actually is coming off pretty good weeks, and so completely agree with you. And I'd also say too, for West Virginia to win this football game, whether it be Khalil Wilkins or Dior Hubbard, they have got to play good. That means the offense is moving the football, and if they're going to win, those two have to be good.
Yep. Agree. And I just like I really like what Wilkins provides from a running standpoint at the quarterback position, but he's got to have some help. And
Yeah,
I do think Dior is capable of doing it. And and he's had some good. Uh, I don't remember off the top of my head and don't have him in front of me, but his PFF grades were in the blocking were pretty decent too.
yeah,
He's doing a really good job in pass blocking. Doing the things that outside of just running the football, he's doing a good job in that regard too. So I think Dior Hubbard's earning himself a lot more snaps here. Some of that obviously out of necessity, but even you know, uh, in holding down that starting spot, assuming he gets it this week. And I really hope he stays around because I do think he can be a really good running back in this
Yeah.
offense down the road. And he's only a redshirt freshman, so he's got plenty of room to grow. And
Yeah.
Bowers, kind of changing subject, but Bowers is a sophomore. He could be in the program for two more years. A lot of really good a lot of good young running backs, or at least a couple good young running backs on this team that they can build around.
Yeah. I agree. There's a lot of good pieces to like. That's for
Yep.
sure. It's just a matter of, and as frustrating as it's been right now, it is an opportunity for Wilkins, Scotty Fox, Bowers, Hubbard, some of these other guys, even Cam Vaughn, still pretty young. And so it's an opportunity to see some of these guys. And nobody hates to go from a winning phase to an evaluation phase, but let's just look ourselves in the mirror and say that could possibly be where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a lot of good pieces to kind of build on for the future. That's for sure.
All right, let's do it. What's your score prediction?
Actually wrestled a little bit with this one. Somebody's got to win, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to win. Here's where I'm at. Part of me wonders how energetic UCF is. West Virginia never really had that huge start. And by huge, 3-0 is not a huge start, but it was a pretty good one. And so started out the season, and I remember seeing online and reading on social media, wow, UCF made the right decision in bringing back Scott Frost. They're undefeated, blah, blah, blah. Now they've lost 3 in a row. So I wonder how energetic the bounce house is going to be. By the same token, West Virginia, I think the bye week came at a good time, and I think they ended the game at BYU with some success. We've talked about that. Couz actually feel good about it. West Virginia leads the all-time series 4-0. They're 2-0 in Morgantown. They're 2-0 in Orlando. Call me crazy, but I think West Virginia might just get it done this week. I'm going to go West Virginia 24, UCF 20. And I think West Virginia gets it done, snaps a little bit of a skid, and then all of a sudden, don't look out. It's the coal rush on a night game in Morgantown against TCU with a chance to get back to 500.
I like it. I'm like you. I kind of struggled with it as well, and actually changed who I had as my winner before we got on here. But right now the spread is 7.5 with UCF favored. It's kind of stayed that way for most of the week. Over under is at 46.5 according to DraftKings. So they've
About 44.
Low scoring game, which is what I'm expecting as well. But I really like the fact that West Virginia's off this bye week. Now, I know they're not getting a lot of their guys back, but they are, like I mentioned earlier, some guys will be rested.
Yeah.
Some guys who have nicks and bruises will be healed up. Hopefully come out with more energy. The defense especially gets the rest, that you mentioned a couple times. And Rich Rodriguez, I don't have the numbers in front of me. You can find it on other shows, but he's been really good off of bye weeks throughout his career.
Yep.
Even as recently as his time at Jacksonville State. He seems to know what buttons to push when his team is on a bye. The fact it's on the road makes me a little bit nervous. I'd feel more comfortable if it was at home. That being said, though, I really think this team I think they're going to be able to figure some things out, make some improvements in some areas. They're not going to come out and look like world champions by any stretch of the imagination, but I think you'll see some better play at certain positions. Might even see new guys play in certain positions. Who knows? But I think we're going to see a better West Virginia team on all three phases, or at least offense and defense, this Saturday. Again, I'm not saying they're going to go out there and look like Ohio State, but I do think they'll be better, and I do think they can win this football game. I think they pick up the win in Orlando, 24-21.
Wow.
Pretty close to yours, actually.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I can't disagree because I picked the same thing within one. So I just feel like this is a game that West Virginia can win. Now, to be clear, not to sound the obvious here, but I think it's a game West Virginia could lose. I mean, we don't quite know what we're getting ourselves into, right? I mean, we gave every reason under the sun why we feel good about West Virginia coming off of a bye week. But it could also be we just delayed the inevitable and West Virginia is still just struggling as they have been. But as you talked about, Rich Rodriguez coming off of a bye week tends to be pretty good there. I think they really were able to deep dive into getting these young quarterbacks, specifically Wilkins, ready to go and preparing him, maybe game planning and already pre-calling some of those first couple drives. So he's settled in a little bit. I don't think that at UCF on a 1 o'clock kick is going to be the same as going to BYU at night. And so I don't think he's going to have as much pressure on him. And then, the more you do it, obviously, the more comfortable you are. And so I feel like this is a game where West Virginia knows they can go win. And so I agree with you, obviously, that I think West Virginia can get it done, and I think they will. I'm excited to see what this team looks like. I'm excited to see if the offense can sustain some drives and the defense can lick some wounds that they're reeling off of the last couple of weeks. And if they put it all together, I think it'll be a good feeling heading into a night game coal rush. And I just think that this is an opportunity for West Virginia to get better. And I think they can do it.
I agree. I was actually on the talk line with Dave Weekly earlier from the Metro News Network, and he asked me how I felt, and I was like, I really don't have a feeling about this one. And I haven't had a feeling about any of the games this year, really.
Yeah.
It's just kind of let's see what happens. But as I was sitting down preparing for the show, going through the numbers, I was like, you know what? West Virginia's got a shot here. They really got a shot here, and so I just went out on a limb and picked them to win this one. Trying to use the opposite of what I've been doing and picking against them. Maybe the luck will change this week.
Well, and I think the frustrating thing here for West Virginia is, if you could just get, and listen, I get it, right? It's a 2-4 football team that's 0-3 in conference. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you West Virginia is BYU, Texas Tech, or heck, Cincinnati or Utah for that matter. I'm not going to do that. But what I am telling you is, if West Virginia can lick some wounds and get right this bye week, and go to UCF and pick up a game that we believe is a winnable game, and then you turn around and you get at home against TCU, that the coal rush. Listen, I refuse to believe fans are going to sit that game out, especially if West Virginia can get a win on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to Houston. Look, I realize Houston's 5-1, but there's some questions there, right? Then you get Colorado at home, who's beatable. Now, you end the season not so easy at Arizona State and Texas Tech at home, but this week could potentially propel you to stringing off maybe 3 or 4 in a row here. And so I'd like to think we're not just in that, evaluation phase to see what we maybe want to keep for next year.
Right.
But I also think that this is a pivotal game. And I'm not trying to overplay a game between two teams that are 0-3 in the Big 12. I'm not doing that. But would you at least agree with me that this is an opportunity for West Virginia to maybe springboard into a potential bowl game, or springboard into next year and feel a little bit better about themselves, that they're not the team that's lost 3 in a row or 4 out of their last 5. And so
Agree.
It may just seem like an off 1 o'clock game against an 0-3 Big 12 team, but these are the type of games that you can build on a little bit. And so I think that's where West Virginia is at. And I think, crazy enough, I think Rich Rodriguez knows that. And I think he's placing that much importance on this game as maybe you and I are. So, win or lose, whether you're 2-4 or whether you're 4-2 or whatever it be, I'm excited to see him play. And as we've talked about on the site, on our Facebook pages and stuff like that, bye weeks suck, man.
Yeah.
So
it was kind of nice not to have to stress about a game. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, well, and it was, and I say bye week suck, and in West Virginia, then the kick will start Saturday about 1:05, and I'll be ready for a bye week. But that's just how it works. That's just how it works,
That's
right?
life of a fan, man.
Yeah, we're never completely satisfied. But again, I'm not trying to overplay this game, but I think it can prove some importance going forward.
Agree. We're gonna talk a little bit of hoops, Jonathan, before we sign off of here today.
Yeah.
The schedule, I need to get that bigger if I can't figure out how to do it.
Because I'm not getting younger.
What's that?
I said I'm not getting younger. You have to make that bigger.
I got you.
These.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me just put it full screen. Maybe that'll help. They don't need to see our faces anymore anyway. That's about as big as I can get it right there, I believe. But can you see it?
Yeah, a little bit. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me pull it up here.
I might be able to get a little bit bigger here. Hold on.
You're good. I'm going to pull it up on my screen too. So if you see me looking at something, I'm just pulling it up on my screen. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm
All
going
right.
to look at it on screen.
And of course we're going to be talking through this, but what do you see? The West Virginia's basketball, a full basketball schedule with times is out.
Yeah.
There are a few things that stick out about this, Jonathan. We're not going to go through every game, but they only have one Big 12 game on ESPN Plus this year.
Yep.
And that is the game against Kansas State on March the 3rd away at Kansas State. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern time. They are playing a game on Super Bowl Sunday, believe it or not, against Texas Tech at home.
Early.
At 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So Mountaineer fans get to watch Mountaineer hoops at 1 o'clock and get ready for – game will be over around 3:30. You got time to grab you a pizza, get you some chicken wings made up, whatever. Be ready for the Super Bowl that night.
Mm-hmm.
Those are a couple of things that stood out to me. What are some things that stand out to you about this?
Yeah, I'd also throw in you really dodged the late games, the 10 or 10:30s. At Iowa State's at 9 p.m. and at Arizona State is at 9 p.m. And there's a couple 8:30 games, but Mountaineer fans can live with the 9 o'clock, right? I mean, ESPN famous for the 7 p.m., 9 p.m. slot. We're familiar with that. But that was one thing that really dodged there was those dreaded 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one. One that I did think was pretty good. January the 10th against Kansas was the Fox noon, the big noon game.
Yep.
That was a pretty good one. There was one other thing that the Wake Forest game, which is going to be in Charleston, 6 p.m. That's a good time.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
on a Saturday this time,
on a Saturday night,
not on a weeknight like it usually is.
So I thought that was one of the other ones that I thought about when I saw this. Is that's a great opportunity for West Virginia fans to. Charleston, I've always been a huge advocate for West Virginia playing a game or two in Charleston because it allows fans in Huntington. Yes, there are West Virginia fans in Huntington. Southern West Virginia fans to get to the neutral part of the state.
Yep.
Saturday at 6 is perfect. You can get up there, you can get you a good bite to eat, you can watch West Virginia game, and you can be home in a decent hour.
About before midnight, basically.
Yeah, which is a huge win for us. Now, we're biased. We're from the southern part of the state, but I've always been a fan of that. So I like that. I mean, when I look at this, there were a couple, though, that did stick out to me that I didn't love. And that was the 2 games on the Peacock. Just because,
you got to sign up for the Peacock.
Yeah,
to watch it.
I mean, my goodness gracious,
both of those are both of those are away. One's at TCU
and at Arizona
February,
State,
and the other one's at the Arizona 9 o'clock Arizona State.
Yeah, so the odds of me wanting to sign up for Peacock for a 9 p.m. tip at Arizona State, but that's a whole lot of basketball right there for me to nitpick too. But I'm admittedly not a huge fan of all these services.
A lot less games on ESPN. These moves Brett Yormark and the conference have made to get more exposure for the conference, I think, is working, because when West Virginia, I think it was Josh Witt from Unreasonable Doubt, I think, put this on there. I hope I'm giving credit to the right person, but he was putting on there the number of ESPN Plus games West Virginia has played in the previous years. They played 18 each of the past 2 years on ESPN Plus. This year they're only playing 10.
Wow!
And almost every one of them, they play their exhibition game against Wheeling. They play Mount St. Mary's, Campbell, Lehigh, Lafayette, Mercyhurst, Coppin State, Little Rock, and Mississippi Valley State, and then they have the one game against Kansas State. That's it.
Yep.
No power conference opponents. Only one power conference opponent on ESPN Plus. None of their non-conference against power conferences are on ESPN Plus. Ohio State's on ESPNU. Wake Forest is on ESPN2. The Classic they're playing in is on ESPN2 and ESPN. You've got FS1 games sprinkled in, ESPN2 games as far as their conference. They got the CBS game against Arizona. That'll be big. That'll get good numbers. So,
Yeah.
and they do have one on the CBS Sports Network, which I don't love, but again, you got to give CBS their piece of the pie there. But I kind of like it. I dig it. I like the way the schedule. There's no true road game out of conference this year.
Yeah, they don't leave Morgantown until November, late November.
Yep. And that's when they travel to
Clemson, South Carolina.
yeah, to play in that whatever classic they're playing in. I can't remember which one it is,
Yeah.
but yeah. So yeah, I like the way the schedule lays out. I think I talked about on a previous show. They don't have any uh, Saturday Monday turnarounds. I don't think this year like they have in the past. So I think that's good. I think the conference helped them out as much as they could with this schedule.
Yeah.
Um, so I like it. I think it's going to be tough again. Big 12 always is, but
Always is.
I like the way it's laid out. I really do.
Yeah, it's
Especially
hard
when
to
you look at the TV dates and times.
just hard to believe we're already talking about it.
Yep, you got that
But
right.
but excited for the season. I think there's a lot of as most coaches who haven't even coached a game, they usually generate a lot of excitement. Um, but Ross Hodge has definitely brought the excitement, and so excited. Yeah, I, there we go.
I thought my name changed there for a minute, Jonathan.
Well, if you caught me blinking,
Yeah.
but no, excited. I think Ross Hodge in a short period of time for somebody that's not even coached. Listen, because we need a successful basketball season. If you'll take a look at how DeVries left, and then the excitement of Rodriguez coming back, and then the football team struggles. I think West Virginia fans need some good in their life. And so Ross Hodge seems to be, again, without coaching a game yet, seems to be the ideal fit for West Virginia. So that was my thought on that. And then probably the final thought, and we don't have a whole lot of time left to talk about it. We usually do a relatively good job of talking about it and writing about it and discussing it, but West Virginia women's basketball was
Yeah.
expected to have another big season. Pardon me for this. I don't remember who it was, but I was reading an article the other day about the top Big 12 transfers in women's basketball, and I'll find it and I'll refer to it. I promise. It just hit me, and I don't remember who it was. But they gave West Virginia women's basketball 3, I believe, of the top Big 12 transfers for conference this year. So Mark Kellogg has gotten it done every year at West Virginia, and he's went out. Now they're going to have to replace J.J. Quinterly. That's a big task, but they've got some pieces coming back, and they went out and hit the portal hard. It should be a fun hoop season in Morgantown.
Yep, looking forward to it. Well, we appreciate everybody hanging in with us. It's been over an hour. And by the way, for those who might be listening on podcast a minute ago when I talked about the names, when I quit sharing the screen with the basketball schedule, we come back on and I had Jonathan's name under me and my name under Jonathan. So anyway, didn't want the people to be confused. But we thank everybody for tuning into the show. We ask that you please subscribe here to the channel if you haven't yet. I'm only 70 away
Yeah.
from 10,000. Please follow us over at WV Sports Chat. Sign up to get it in your inbox. You'll be given that option to get written content about the Mountaineers. We may cover baseball as good or better than anybody over there on the
Yeah,
site.
absolutely.
And we cover we cover men's basketball, women's basketball, and obviously football as well. So check us out over there at WVSportsChat.com. Thanks for tuning into the show. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to everybody for tuning in, for listening, for watching. God bless, and Q Country Roads.